What would you do if your own parents looked you dead in the eye and said, "We're choosing your brother. You're not worth keeping around anymore"? I was 16 when that happened. My name is Elena Thompson, and for years I'd been the invisible daughter. My younger brother Marcus was the golden child. New sneakers every month, family vacations just for him, constant praise like he hung the moon. Me? Hand-me-downs, extra chores, and endless comparisons. "Why can't you be more like Marcus?" became the soundtrack of my childhood. Before we continue with this video, please like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for updates. Then came the night everything snapped. Dad sat me down and said, "Marcus has so much potential. We need to focus on him now. You're strong, Elena. You'll be fine with Grandma Maggie." Mom didn't even look at me when she packed my suitcase. They drove me to her house that same evening and left without a hug. I thought that was rock bottom. I was wrong. 20 years later, my parents walked into Grandma's while reading with smug little smiles, convinced the house, the savings, everything would finally be theirs. They had no clue what Maggie had really planned. They smiled until the lawyer looked straight at me and said my name. Their faces in that moment, I'll never forget it. But what he read next made my mother's smile vanish completely. Picture this: 16 years old, sitting on the living room couch, and your mom finally looks at you, not with love, but with exhaustion. "Marcus needs us more right now," she says. "You're strong, Elena. Grandma Maggie will teach you discipline." Strong. That word hit like a slap. For years I'd been the one who never complained, who got straight A's while Marcus got trophies for showing up. New game consoles for him, library books for me. Vacations? Only if Marcus wanted to go. I was the backup plan. That night they packed one suitcase. Dad drove in silence. When we pulled up to Grandma's old house, he didn't even get out of the car. "Be good," he muttered. Mom gave me a quick hug that felt like goodbye forever. I stood on that porch watching their taillights disappear, tears burning, promising myself I'd never beg for their attention again. But 20 years later, when Grandma passed, they showed up at the will reading looking like they'd already won the lottery, grinning, whispering about the house they'd sell, the money they'd spend. They had no idea Maggie had been watching everything. And what she put in that will, it was going to wipe those smiles right off their faces. While they poured every dollar and dream into Marcus, I was quietly learning the most dangerous skill of all: how to win without needing anyone's permission. Grandma Maggie didn't hug much. She didn't praise easily. But she made me get up at 5 a.m. to study, work weekends at her neighbor's farm stand, and save every cent. "Tears don't pay bills, Elena," she'd snap. Yet at night, when she thought I was asleep, I'd catch her tucking an extra blanket over me. That toughness built something unbreakable. I graduated top of my class on scholarships they never knew about. Turned Grandma's old herb garden into the seed of an online skincare business that exploded. 6 figures by 25. A life they couldn't touch. Meanwhile, Marcus? New cars, failed startups, endless bailouts. Parents kept feeding the fantasy. Have you ever sat across from people who hurt you, smiled politely, and said nothing because your real victory was still coming? Grandma saw it all. On her deathbed, she grabbed my hand and whispered, "Don't tell them what's in the will. Let them find out the hard way." When the lawyer finally opened that folder at the reading, my parents were still grinning like they'd already cashed the check. Until he started reading the real terms. The lawyer cleared his throat, and the whole room went dead quiet. My parents were leaning forward like kids waiting for Christmas presents. Marcus had his phone out, probably already planning how to spend the money. First, small personal items to Marcus Thompson, the lawyer read. A watch, a few tools, nothing big. Mom squeezed Dad's hand, still smiling. "See? It's starting." Then came the real hits. Generous donations to the local animal shelter Grandma loved. A modest trust for Marcus to encourage responsibility and independence. He'd get nothing outright, just monthly drips if he proved himself. Dad's face twitched. Mom whispered, "She's just being dramatic." The lawyer paused, looked right at me. And to my granddaughter Elena Thompson, who showed me what family truly means: the house, the land, the savings, and everything remaining. Silence. Then chaos. My mother's mouth opened, No sound came out. Dad turned purple. They stared at me like I'd stolen something that was never theirs. But the lawyer wasn't finished. He pulled out Grandma's handwritten letter. And when he started reading her words, that's when everything truly shattered. Her smile vanished the instant the lawyer unfolded Grandma's letter and read aloud. To Elena, who visited me every week, who paid my hospital bills when no one else would, who listened without judgment, I leave my entire estate. Because she was the daughter I never had to beg for love from. The room exploded. Mom lunged forward. This is a lie. She manipulated you. Dad's voice cracked. We sacrificed everything for this family. Sacrificed? They'd sacrifice me. Marcus just sat there, stunned. Phone forgotten. The trust fund? Gone unless he actually worked for it. The house they planned to flip? Mine. The savings they'd already mentally spent? Also mine. I stayed calm. Looked them in the eye. The same eyes that once told me I wasn't worth keeping, and said, "You made your choice 20 years ago. I made mine today." They begged. Promised to change. I walked out without answering. But the real twist? Grandma left one tiny door open. A small fund if they ever gave me a genuine apology. Guess what happened next? So, here's the final twist they never saw coming. Grandma left one small conditional fund, just enough to change their lives if they ever looked me in the eye and said, "We're sorry. We were wrong. We failed you." They didn't. They stormed out screaming about lawyers, unfairness, how I'd turned her against them. No apology. Not even a fake one. Marcus trailed behind like a lost puppy. Last I heard, he was still waiting for bailouts that aren't coming anymore. I walked away with a house where I rebuilt myself, the savings I helped protect, and something worth more than money. Proof that love isn't measured in blood, but in who shows up when it counts. They chose my brother and left me behind. 20 years later, at that will reading, their smiles died when my name was called because the woman they dismissed chose me right back. Family isn't who raises you. It's who refuses to let you fall. If you've ever been the one overlooked, drop a heart below. Share your story. And subscribe because karma doesn't always whisper. Sometimes she roars. Thanks for watching.